What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 155. My name is Brett, aka Enigma9011, and today, once again, I am joined by Jeff at Jeff Fred Gaming. Jeff, how's it going today?
You know, it's Sunday, so like by 2 p.m., just deep existential dread set in.
Yeah, the Monday woes. If you guys want to catch this podcast live, you go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You join the chat, join on the conversation with us, and have a fun time going through it with us. But if you can't catch live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video in MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, hashtag add merch store. Get all of your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand, support us, and we would love you for it. Any way you can support, whether it's the merch store or a review or a like or a comment, anything big or small, it does help out this podcast immensely. So whatever you could do to support would be awesome. So yes, Jeff is back. Jeff is back. We are returning, or I guess revisiting. Thank you. I'm dumb. Revisiting last year's discussion. Around this time, we're talking game of the year. Now, we're not doing the Keeley Awards. We're not breaking it down genre by genre if you missed last year. We are going to be discussing a few different things. We're going to be discussing, I think, first some games that we might have missed this past year that we kind of wanted to play, just so you guys know that these games maybe not in our thinking pools for like what should be game of the year. Then we're going to talk about 2022 game releases, what we think our favorite game of this year's releases. Jesus Christ, what was our favorite of this year's releases? Yeah, you know, I did this last year too, and I thought, oh, I'll listen to the podcast, I'll get it better. No, it's going to be a train wreck like always. So 2022 releases, we will pick our game of the year or our favorite from that. Preceding that, after that, we are also going to pick a title that is more of a personal choice for game of the year that could have come out at any time. Maybe we're just doing our backlog, replaying it, or just something we've continued to play throughout the years. Towards the end, we'll flip it over to a different topic and we'll talk about future releases, things we're looking forward to. So that is our plan for today. Lots of video game chat. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And yeah, let us know what your games of the year this year were. And we can continue the discussion, obviously, post the podcast. So, Jeff, how do you think, I guess, just to kick this all off, how do you think, maybe not how you did this year with gaming, but how do you feel with the titles you played? Do you feel you played a lot, not a lot?
I mean, probably a lot less than in previous years, without doing YouTube the way I used to.
Mm-hmm.
That cut down like the game stuff that I do by about 50%.
Gotcha.
You know, to a normal, manageable human level. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to pack in a bunch of stuff at the end of the year because I finally got the PS5. So, like, you know, a whole new opportunity of games to play opened up. Still working on finishing the Extra Life game, which I think, with the exception of Mass Effect 2 and 3, like, Mass Effect 1 took me forever to finish, and then 2 was, like, a month, and 3 was, like, another month, so it does, this one's just gonna take forever. Yeah, you know, wasn't a bad year, I'm gonna say. Yeah, no, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
it's
fair.
Such a weird question. How did I do?
Yeah, I know. So I talked about it last year. I don't know if it was our game of the year podcast or maybe it was our or my like New Year's resolution type thing. But I actually wrote down games I played and had finished this year. And yeah, I did pretty dang well, I would say. Like, just through a lot of titles this year. I think I got 12 platinums or so, which, if you don't know, 100%ing the audience, that's what that means. And then, yeah, just here and there, touching on games, seeing how they were. So I think the list overall maybe just helped my mental foot. Like we talked about even recording the podcast, like, oh yeah, that game came out this year. Just keeping track of things, I think making the list for myself definitely helped. So seeing the list on my phone and then just writing it down once again on the monitor here is like, wow, yeah, I actually hit a decent amount, I would say, this year. And it's always the same thing of like, I've talked about it in the past, but getting distracted, like, oh, I'll play something, and then, oh, here comes the next thing, and I didn't finish it. I think I did a mixture this year.
Constant, like, backlog catch-up, too,
Exactly.
Like, you have to put other things off, because, like, I'm finally getting to this from last year or whatever.
Yep. So, yeah, overall, it felt better. So, yeah, we'll kind of roll into, I guess, some games. You mentioned catch-up. Towards the end of the year, it's kind of, you get a little bit more free time with the holidays.
Yeah,
and then
it's like,
just
how many, like, how wildly can I abuse holiday sales to get as much as I want without getting in trouble from anyone.
So before we go into the 2022 releases and picking our game of the year, let's just talk about some games that maybe we had missed throughout the year, some titles we were interested in, whether we either just touched on them a bit and didn't fully dive into them, or we just completely missed because other things were going on and maybe they didn't even scratch our radar. Do you have anything that stands out for you for this year's releases?
Resident Evil Village Gold Edition.
Okay. All right.
Because I still haven't played Resident Evil Village at all. Haven't watched anybody play it.
Right.
I really wanted to do it for Scarytober this year, and it came out like, I think at the very end of the month or like just after.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't. There's just not enough time to fit this in. And I think I only just did. I don't remember if it was this year or not, but no, it wasn't for Scarytober. I did Resident Evil 7 for the first time.
Yep.
Had a lot of fun with that. Still don't understand how card games work. Or numbers, math in general. But that Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yep.
Because I'm always on the. I don't know why. I always complain about it when it's going on, and I like say I hate it, but like I really love playing scary games. So it's just something I've like. I feel like once I did Visage, like it just broke my brain, and I was like, okay, fuck it, let's just do it. Nothing's going to be as scary as that ever again. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, there was one other one. What's with the robot and the girl?
Horizon?
Yes, thank you. Didn't have a PS5, so
yeah, that was another one on my list. Yep.
I finally have it. I still don't have it. Still haven't beat Zero Dawn, so
yeah, I gotta do that.
Not in a huge hurry on that one though.
Sure. Yeah, Forbidden West is on my list as well. I played it, I believe, at launch day and streamed it, and it looks great. Looks amazing, and I had a good time, hopping back into that world. But it was similar to what you said with Zero Dawn, with you not finishing it. I was just like, oof, I feel out of the loop, kind of thing, or like I don't remember what's going on. Like I should have done a replay of that earlier. So that's one I definitely need to get back into. But visually it looks stunning. I'm excited for you to jump into that world. So yeah, that's definitely on my radar, or like one of the things I missed as well. And then a lot of the ones, or the rest of the ones rather, I would say are recent releases, at least for platforms that I have for some of them. So like Neon White is an independent title that came out and it was up for Game of the Year. It's like a fast-paced card based combat time trials almost, it seems. Very cool art style. But I want to give that a try. It just came out on the PlayStation platforms, I think, as of recording maybe a week or two ago. So I want to try that out. Marvel's Midnight Suns came out recently. I'll be waiting for the holiday break, hopefully, to be starting that. One I didn't think I'd be interested in trying, but after watching some content creators kind of mess around with it, I was like, all right, that seems like something to turn my brain off to and just kind of have some laughs with. Goat Simulator 3. That just seems like, one of the, like, you have the games you focus on, you really get in depth. I did not, no.
Oh, see, yeah, that was especially when Willow was a little younger and like she couldn't really read, so she just needed like sandbox games. The original one was big in our house.
Yeah. So.
And from what I've seen of the new one, yeah, there's a lot of references to other games and things like that. It seems really cool.
Yeah. So.
I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about. But,
the opening scene is direct reference to Skyrim.
Oh, yeah, that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a horror game reference too.
Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, that game just looks, hysterical. And like I said, there's games you dive into for story, but then there's stuff you just kind of need to zone out to.
That's just like a turn brain off. Yeah, and the best part is like they're not even trying to charge like full price. It's like what, $39?
I think so.
So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, just kill some time, unwind with this, watch other people be weird with it.
Yeah. And then I'd say two others that I have. One is actually a remaster. It's Tactics Ogre Reborn. I really dug Final Fantasy Tactics Advance as a kid growing up, so I want to dive into this and see just, dive back into the turn-based strategy, and like creating the different classes and a team looks, great. Looks like they have a lot of options, so I want to dive into that. And then there's one more on my list, which I would say I'm a little bit still tentative on, just because I'm not sure if I'll like the comedy style. But High on Life looks like a fun game. I'm not sure if the Rick and Morty, I guess, how they produce it or how the show rolls. I don't know if that comedy will click with me. So that's my only if I'm going to dive into it. But I believe it's on Game Pass for like Xbox and Windows. So we'll see.
Yeah. Speaking of comedy ones, Skies Over Loathing. I had a lot of fun playing West of Loathing like a year or two ago, and they just released a new one, but it's only on PC right now, so I haven't touched it. But Tactics Ogre, yeah, that's an interesting one, because I actually haven't played that many like tactics games. I have played 2 of the original and beaten 2 like the first 2 games in the Ogre Battle series though on Super Nintendo and N64, and I loved them. I love the world. I love the characters. The setting, all that kind of stuff, the lore. So I was actually really excited about that, and I forgot it came out until today. I completely forgot. I also forgot that it hasn't come out yet, so I haven't missed it, but I'm probably going to, because it comes out on the 22nd. Valkyrie Profile Lenneth.
Oh, okay.
Is getting re-released.
Nice.
And that's one I've always wanted to play. But I doubt I'm going to be able to get away with buying that.
Sure. All right, so yeah, there's some titles we missed. So like I said, these ones probably won't be in our Game of the Year discussion, just so nobody's jumping down our throat like, oh, why didn't you talk about this game? That's your reason. We missed them. So Jeff, what are some standouts for the games that released this year that you'd like to talk about?
For me, I had a lot of fun with Evil Dead the game when it came out. Just a lot of fun, good humor, good combat, very, very Dead by Daylight. Unfortunately, it seemed like the audience for the game kind of died out kind of quickly. The first like month or two, it was easy getting into matches, things like that, and then it seemed like the numbers just dropped off really quickly. Right around the time they started releasing new content, unfortunately, for it.
Oof. Okay.
I had a lot of fun with that, but I was always like, oh, those movies are such like a niche. I mean, they're some of the greatest movies ever, but also like that gory horror comedy movie like fandom is very much like its own thing, and
sure.
People move on from other things. Let's see. The Quarry. I had a lot of fun with. It was nice to get a full length like follow up to Until Dawn that wasn't a Dark Pictures anthology game.
Right.
Dark Pictures like Devil in Me was definitely special in its own special way.
Right.
Let's see. What else did I play? One that I didn't actually get to play a lot of, but I was really happy came out was the Life is Strange Remastered Collection. Just nice to revisit those early games, those first 2 games.
Yeah.
Especially that first one. You can't recapture how it felt playing it the first time, but it's fun to revisit those characters.
Sure. All right. Yeah, for some of mine, I just noticed that like this year, it seemed like the indies, the independent stuff, really took up a decent chunk of my game like library this year. So just to name, I guess, a few. I talked about Inscription last year. That finally came to the PlayStation library. That was amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't finished it yet, but have just enjoyed from a first-hand perspective playing that game. Unpacking, very chill, very...
You made my kids want that.
Calming experience of just unpacking rooms and organizing and stuff. And surprisingly, a nice story with it. So That was great. Tunic was fun, very challenging, but fun. Another one I need to get back into. On the same line of Tunic, Death's Door was something. It didn't come out this year, so I guess I'm kind of already cheating and talking about previous year titles, but that was another one. Sorry, back to this year's. Ollie Ollie World, 2D skating game, just going through the levels, trying to do different challenges. Surprisingly, a lot of fun. I didn't think that would resonate with me, at least right away, with the 2D platform and being stuck in that plane instead of a more like pro skater experience where you're obviously able to go wherever. But had a blast with that. And cool to see that title get its recognition, especially come Game Awards times, at least being nominated. Tinykin, kind of like a Pikmin spinoff. Very chill experience. I would say collecting stuff kind of sucks in that game because they don't have any radars or like indicators. So that stunk. Escape Academy, just a bunch of escape rooms. We had Stray, obviously winning Indie Game of the Year for the Game Awards. Good story there too. Very sad and emotional story. Nobody Saves the World, early release this year. That was a surprise hit for me and like a big one. That was a lot of fun, especially seeing all the different forms you could take. Sifu, challenging as fuck, but man, was that rewarding once we finally got over those hurdles. And then I would say the last indie title that's sticking out to me here is Cult of the Lamb. Was very excited for Cult of the Lamb once I started seeing trailers and announcements for that and jumping into that game. Hysterical. A lot of fun between the two different game styles that they did present, whether it was the Animal Crossing and taking care of your villagers and building that up and whatever they need, and then going into the roguelite aspect of the dungeons and trying to survive and make your way to the end towards the bosses. Just great game there. And Massive Monster did a great job developing that game. So yeah, that's just something I noticed, at least in my plethora of games this year. Just a lot of indie titles that stood out.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of indie. I did have some because I started to get a little bit more into PC stuff.
Sure.
I don't know that it counts as indie. We did do, especially during the summer, a lot of Power Wash Simulator.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. I didn't even play it that much. The kids played it, and I just watched.
Sure.
It is weirdly, like, I'm not one of those people who, like, watches those, like, most satisfying videos. And, and it's just, like, somebody, like, kneading fucking dough or something like that. I can't stand those, but that one was weirdly like, okay, yeah, I get this. I get this. You know what? One I completely forgot to put on my list.
Sure.
Because I didn't go through the whole thing. But it just came out, and it's actually a game I've been wanting to play forever. Crisis Core Reunion, Final Fantasy VII. Because it's, I can't talk about it too much because you still haven't done. Yeah, I don't think so. But it takes place before Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, it's explaining like
it's a prequel.
Zack stuff and a little
Zack
bit of Cloud. Okay.
And let's see, what was it? I had a lot of fun with. I think my favorite horror game I played this year was Madison. That game was a lot of fun. It reminded me a lot of the camera level of Visage. Just real tense and stressful, which shouldn't be fun, especially for somebody with a heart condition, but it still was. And two other ones, it was, what was it? Oh no, there were three. So not an indie, but like a remake. The Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers edition. I love Chrono Cross. I melted my original PS3 hard drive playing that so much in the summer one year in a place that I didn't have air conditioning. I love that game, love it to death. I love the original Chrono Trigger. Chrono Cross is its own weird thing, but it's still a lot of fun. I still have trouble deciding, like, oh, which path do I want to take, because you only get certain characters, and like clearly the coolest character is this way, but you have to make like a shitty decision to do it. Like, so do I want to live with myself and do that and get the cool guy, or do I want to go this way and be the good guy? Still stress out over that, freaking 10, 11, 12 years later from when I originally first played it. And Callisto Protocol. Not a super long game. Fairly brutal and good solid cast. And simple gameplay. It was a lot of fun for what it was, but again, it wasn't super long or anything like that. So, and I think it's a new studio because it was designed by one of the original designers of Dead Space, and I don't think I've heard of the studio before. So,
was that Strike Distance or is that someone else?
I can't remember.
Okay, yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you had a good time with that because there was a lot of people had different experiences, but I'm glad you had a good one with that.
Yeah, I did luck out and play on the PS5. So I'm not one of the people who I was watching people like complain about it on the internet, and it's like, you must be playing completely different games because like I actually watched people be like, the combat sucks. You do this and then you do this and then you do this and then it just repeats. And then they're showing video of them playing it, and they're not repeating what they're like what they're saying. They're not doing in any way. It's like the level of dissonance here is astounding. I do not understand what's going on. But I will admit, it did have problems at launch.
Let's see. So over on the other side, I guess, for the bigger stuff that I had played, I tried Elden Ring because I figured, I gotta at least try and give that a shake prior to obviously Game of the Year discussions. I did really enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie there. I thought the open world mechanic was a lot more forgiving for especially like Soulsborne games that I've played in the past, with Bloodborne, Sekiro.
Harder to get screwed over when you're not in an alleyway.
Sure, that, and then just the freedom of like, okay, I get to an area, oh, this is really tough, I can leave it and take on a whole different path, whereas for the other ones, you're at that boss wall, you're there, you're not getting, past it until you beat it. So I did enjoy the freedom of that. That's something I need to dive back into, but it's one of those games, once again, that like you need to play consistently because obviously, muscle memory and just the repetition you're going to learn. But
and like not only that, like there's so many updates to combat
sure.
mechanics and things, like nerfing things or boosting things. Like if you take a week off, like your loadout could be completely changed,
100%.
That wise.
Yeah, and then just obviously the patience factor with these games, obviously how frustrating they can be. Like, you got to pace yourself there. So I want to get back into it, but I did like what I played, enjoyed that. God of War Ragnarok obviously has been phenomenal so far from what I have played. Obviously, similar to how Jeff alluded with Crisis Core, I'm not going to go too much into detail just because Jeff's a little before me, but I'm loving what I've played so far. I think the character development is great. Obviously the performances are very good, and it's just not in a bad way, but it's more of 2018 and it's great. So looking forward to diving more into that story.
It's kind of hard. I mean, they kind of hit the nail, like they fucking made a pretty round ball. God of War
for sure.
It like there's not that many edges they can smooth down. So.
Yeah. So more of a good thing there. We talked about Ghostwire Tokyo a little bit. That's another one I kind of just touched on. Same with Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Splatoon 3 was okay. Not my favorite. This was the first one I kind of dove into at launch. It's fun, but nothing amazing there. Pokemon Scarlet, Chef's Kiss. I didn't have too many tech issues there. So
kids, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, as long as they're having a good time. But the stories that game goes into, just comparatively to obviously previous iterations of the Pokemon franchise, kind of surprising. Just it's not just the simple like, hey, 8 badges, go to Elite Four, yada yada yada. You have that.
It's not a parent sending their 10-year-old out into the world unsupervised.
No, you go to school this time.
Battle wild animals against each other.
You go to school this time.
Basically chicken fighting.
And then they send you out. But there's other stories attached to it that are very good, as we talked about on last week's episode of the podcast. So if you want my full thoughts there, you can check that out. And then I'll talk about 2 more. Gotham Knights. I loved Gotham Knights. It was one of those games that had to grow on me over time. And I think it was something I kind of went into it with a wrong train of thought. I wanted Arkham, and this wasn't Arkham. It has elements of it, but obviously, you know, WB Games, WB Montreal, they had glimpses of it with Origins when they worked on it. But this is their own thing. It is still fun. It's great to dive into each of the characters. The story does work out, and it's great. There are things certainly that could improve from it, but it was a fun game and a fun experience overall.
It feels like, hey Rainbow, it feels like the old X-Men arcade, like the 4-player, like running around and just beating up guys. That with an Arkham trapping.
Okay.
Like it's not like fully open world detective mode Arkham, you know. It's that aesthetic,
okay,
that style, like applied to more of like a beat 'em up sort of thing.
Kinda. Yeah.
That's
I'd
how
say aspects of it.
Me.
Okay, that's fair.
Also, I think it's dumb though. Like the whole initial conceit of that game, you know, like everybody knows that's the end of the game is going to be finding out that's not true, right? You know, like the setting for why you're playing as those four and not Batman.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm like I haven't played it, but I'm like, there's no way that's not going to be the. There's no way that's not going to be the thing at the end of the game, like the third act spoiler. Like, oh,
no,
whatever.
No, six through.
We'll see. I'll buy it and play it, and just to find out to see if I can rub this in your face.
I mean, just six through.
Because you get to be smart and like clever and like I've played it, you know. Well, right. You know, and I don't. So you could be lying to me. I don't know. You've committed me to spending $70.
We're not playing Among Us. I'm not lying. So anyways, Gotham Knights, I know it's not for everybody. I personally loved it and enjoyed it more time I put into it.
Wait, no, I just wanted to say, it didn't come out this year, obviously, but like the two Gotham Knights, Gotham Knights, God damn it. The two times we've played Among Us were like some of the best gaming time I've had this year.
100%.
For the extra live streams. 100%. Like, it's so much fun. It's like, it sucks because like, I know, like, if I try and put together other nights, like, with other people, it's like, it's not gonna fucking work.
Yeah, we'll definitely do more in the future. I definitely want to, because that's a game I enjoy watching, and, yeah, I absolutely love playing. But, yeah, great times there.
Yeah. And I'm getting better at lying.
You are, and I hate it. No, I'm just kidding.
The trick is clearly, Genghis has the right idea. Just pick somebody and then just put all your energy into destroying that one person.
That's the right strategy. And then the last one I would say,
wait for them to say something, you know, like Rainbow, saying like I killed somebody way faster or something like that. Just wait for them to put their own foot in their mouth and just let everybody else take the course from there.
Last one I'd say for the big titles, and this one I put a lot of time into, was WWE 2K22. So they took a year off from 20, not releasing a game in 21 to kind of fix a lot of the bugs that 20 had. And I think it worked.
Super broken.
Apparently, I never had any issues with 20, but yeah, a lot of people did. So taking that year off of the development cycle to take some more time, put it into the game, I think definitely was the right move, right step.
The Assassin's Creed adjustment.
Exactly. Just poured a lot of time in that game. Haven't dove into the like my character, the my created superstar thing too much, but the little bit I played with it was fun. But man, that GM mode, the general manager mode, just creating matches, creating rivalries.
Like I remember like getting notifications and being like, Jesus, he's doing that again?
Yep.
It's just text screens. He's just reading a book.
It was a lot of fun. So just the base mechanics there obviously wasn't the best when they first launched, but with the update and afterwards, they did add a little bit onto it that just made it better. Looking forward to 23 to see hopefully what improvements they can make on, obviously with this being 2K's first stab at the GM mode since SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 under THQ and Ukes. So excited to see where this grows from here. And also the freedom of that game mode to just use created rosters to add either obviously fake superstars or real wrestlers from other promotions or obviously the current promotion. That flexibility is nice because it's an ever-evolving game that just doesn't get boring with, I'm playing with the same people over and over and over again. So, yeah, 2K22 and GM mode specifically took up a lot of my time. I know a lot of people weren't a big fan of the My Faction mode. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I understand it could be a little microtransaction if you play it that way, similar to the NBA games. But that's another one I'm excited to see how they can improve on that game. So, yeah. Any other shout-outs?
The only other major release I had, I think, no, I think I talked about them all.
Okay. So what would you say is your 2022 release game of the year for yourself, Jeff?
So far, I think it's going to end up being God of War.
Okay.
It's hard to say, though, just because both it and, again, Crisis Core could blow me out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to play that game, so there's obviously, an anticipation aspect built into that. That could affect it. Another one I actually really like that is a solid contender. It's not like it's a remaster or a remake.
Mm-hmm.
Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really solid remake.
Nice.
I haven't played Elden Ring. I'm sure it would be. I really want to. I was actually considering making it like a hey, like we do this as a milestone where like if I do this, we'd play like an Elden Ring stream or something like that. And Sarah was like, no, not listening to you yell that much.
Sure.
No. But I feel like it's probably going to end up being God of War 2 right now. And again, I came into getting a new console right at the end of the year kind of skews everything because like you're dipping your toes into so many different pools at the very end, like not fully getting to experience anything.
Sure.
It's like that's going to be the only game I've really gotten super into on the PS5 so far is like Callisto Protocol. It's the only one I've beaten.
Mm-hmm.
And I doubt I'll beat Ragnarok before the end of the year, but it's going to be the one that I got the closest to. Like I was doing did Ghosts of Tsushima Director's Cut edition come out this year, or was that still last year?
It was this year. Director's Cut was this year.
Okay. You know what? That's another game of mine then for this year.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's just the Director's Cut,
sure.
but had a lot of fun with that so far.
Nice. Yeah, I think God of War is up there for me as well. I don't see it taking a south turn, at any point later on.
Turns into a card battling racing game in the third act.
I probably won't put it at Game of the Year just because I haven't finished it. So, to me, but I definitely agree. It is up there, and that would definitely be a contender. I think, see, this is where it gets tough because I'm between.
Yeah, a lot of the games I bought this year and beat this year were from last year. So
sure, yeah.
Go figure. Not working at a Best Buy, I'm not buying new video games on release day anymore. I'm also way less in debt. Well, I guess overall, when you factor in student loans and things, I'm actually not that much, but it's less credit card. So.
There you go. So I said I'm between two, but I think I'm between three. So I'm in between Nobody Saves the World, Sifu.
Okay, give me a rundown on that because I saw that when I was going through the list. I Wikipedia'd it just like you, and I was like, oh, that sounds so familiar, but I don't know what it is. Is that the one that's Is that the one that's in Kingdom Hearts?
No.
3?
Mm-mm.
Or
no, this is made by Drinkbox Studios, so it's the same people who made Guacamelee 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's some game, maybe it was Dream Drop Distance.
Yeah, that was ages
that had some. Yeah, it is. But it referenced something, or there was characters from something like Nobody Saved the World, or This Is How the World Ends.
Well, nobodies are in Kingdom Hearts 2. If we want to go through the whole Kingdom Hearts lore, we'll have a whole separate podcast. Shush, Peanut Gallery on the side.
Hey, let's save that because there's a good chance that's what I'm doing for next year's Extra Life. And God help us all when I do it.
I'll just be sitting next to you okay, so
hold on. The very first Kingdom Hearts game and trying to play it after playing all of the quality of life updates and gameplay updates. Oh, I'm just thinking about jumping around in the the Tarzan level,
Mm-hmm.
like trying to catch those vines, and I want to start crying.
No, Final Mix is great. You'll be fine. So anyways, what Nobody Saves the World is, it's once again from Drinkbox Studio. So they made Guacamelee 1 and 2 along with maybe another title that I can't remember. But the story is you are nobody. You wake up and you are lost and you're confused. And you stumble upon a magician's wand and you are trying to help the I guess towns and cities and whatever world around you, trying to find this wizard to save, them from the big bad. As you were going around, you were slowly learning how to use the wand and the magic for yourself, and you not possess, but you change yourself into different forms that can help you combat or solve different puzzles that arise as you go through the world, tackling different enemies or going through dungeons to complete obstacles, and you follow the story of this character Nobody and figure out who they are. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, you're good. So yeah, I'm between Nobody Saves the World, which came out very early this year, so January time frame.
Oh yeah, like January.
Yeah. Sifu, which I poured a lot of time in the stream, like I said, very frustrating at times, but I thought that was one that definitely I felt rewarded by, obviously with the obstacles that were overcome, but it just felt like the combat was smooth and just learning the different combinations and what worked, what didn't work was great.
Did you ever beat Sifu?
I did beat Sifu, yes, beat it on stream.
Okay.
Yeah. And then WWE, as we talked about, just the revamp they made to the series, the amount of time, obviously, clearly, I put into the game. I think I put 154 hours into this year. It's up there. I think I have to go with Nobody Saves the World for my 2022 Game of the Year. WWE was obviously great, but I only played really one aspect of it a lot. Sifu was a great time, but I can understand from a player perspective how that can be, especially skill-wise, when it first launched, that is a very steep learning curve to that game. They have since released updates where it kind of tones it down for more accessibility for other players, which I appreciate. More people playing this game, the better. But Nobody Saves the World, that was something that I played on stream, had a great time with, and then just kind of dove head in first to that game, especially knowing nothing about it coming out, hearing some podcasts like PlayStation or the PS Trophy Room and 6-1 IndieCast talk about this game, talk about their excitement, me checking it out, being like, I want to try that out, and just loving it. I'm only one trophy away from platinuming it, but it includes a replay at the hardest difficulty, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, that's...
You know what? Hey, you know what? At least it's not back in the days where it's like half of the trophies are tied into online multiplayer stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, that is true. That is true. But Nobody Saves the World is definitely a highly recommended game for me, and I think that would be 2022 Game of the Year for me personally.
Nice.
All right. So, we talked about 22. Let's talk about maybe games we played from our backlog or things that didn't come out this year that we either spent a lot of time in or just enjoyed. So, Jeff, what would you like
the future!
What would you like to talk about for titles you played this year?
I finally, and I tried doing it for Scarytober a couple years ago, and it did not go well, and I finally did it this year. Evil Within 2. I had so much fun with that game. Like once I got past the initial area and like started to figure out like, okay, well, like it's more open, like I don't have to fight everybody, I can get around everything. Like I had so much fun with that game. That one was a blast. Again, I feel like a lot of the games I did this year was stuff that I from previous years, but again, I can't remember what I did. I can't remember what I did 10 minutes ago half the time. So, you know what? Cyberpunk I ended up having a lot of fun with. They finally released the next gen like updates or whatever, upgrades.
Yeah.
Early this year. And I feel like I had a lot of fun with it. Definitely not as much fun as I had watching Edge Runners on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The anime's really, really good. Yeah. And it's done by Studio Trigger. I love everything Trigger does. So, what I have so far, anyways, I should say. You know what? You talk for a minute.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So there were some titles I talked about actually in last year's edition of this kind of topic run through. I talked about Guardians of the Galaxy, talked about Deathloop. Both of those titles I finished and played through early in this year. Both were fantastic. Highly recommend both of those. I played through Kena Bridge of Spirits. Beautiful game. Going through that journey with Kena definitely can be difficult, especially towards the end. There's like a spike in difficulty from nowhere. But that game's great. Other ones on the backlog that I would say I had played. Played through Ghost of Tsushima, another phenomenal title from the PS4 era. Days Gone, heard mixed things, but I loved it.
Yeah, I heard mixed things, but most of the bad things I heard was about the designer trying to defend the game.
Yes, he's a little bit over the top with it, but the rest of Studio Bend, who still are there, because the creator's not there anymore, are fine. But yeah, Days Gone is great. You know, you have your usuals, the games that have stuck around and, you know, have, what's the games of service. So your Fall Guys, your Overwatch, into Overwatch 2 this year, your Fortnite, played a shit ton of that. And then some indie titles that I kind of caught up on. We had Tome, beautiful photography game, very chill vibes, very cool there. Donut County, just the chaos of taking everything and sucking it into the earth as a raccoon. And I would say Death's Door, which was in the conversation for, I think, Indie Game of the Year last year. That game was a lot of fun. Very similar to the release of this year of Tunic. But I think Death's Door stands above it. You're this crow, this reaper going for souls, trying to reclaim them or, you know, bring them in for your boss. And then you just kind of learn about the shady back stuff that's going on and you try and fix it. And going through that world, a little bit of challenge with the Souls-like aspects. But satisfying story. If you want to put in the time and get the secret ending, there's a little bit more rewarding stuff there lore-wise. It does take some time, but Death's Door was phenomenal in terms of that. Seems like you thought of something. Go, Jack.
Grounded.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot. I don't know how I completely forgot about Grounded, but I feel like we had a lot of fun with Grounded this
Absolutely.
year. Like, I realized it got its full release this year. I think it, like, technically kind of came out last year.
Yeah, early access, yeah.
Yeah. I still played a lot of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I still somehow have not finished that game. I don't know how. The Long Dark again. One I'm really love playing and streaming. Still waiting. They just released a new fucking paid deal. Their first paid DLC for survival mode, but still waiting on episode frickin' 5 to finish story mode. No news about that yet. We were talking about games from like last year now, right?
It could be last year or any previous years that you just...
I finally got to do Biohazard Resident Evil 7.
Yep.
I'm looking at the wrong camera. I feel like a professional. Which one? Camera 1, camera 2? That game was such a... Like, I'd done so much to avoid everything I could about that game. And finally getting to play it and, like, seeing the few things that I'd seen. And, like, you getting, you know, when you get the shotgun and you finally get to, like, have some power. And you're not being chased by fucking Grandpa Nasty Pants or whatever. I can't think of his name. I can't think of their names. That was so much fun. I think I did Hellblade this year.
Yes.
And that game was really, like, it's not at all what I was expecting. It was so much more, like, emotional. Wait, no, maybe I did that last year because
Yeah, this year.
Last year they announced the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I think, right? Oh no,
Yeah,
they didn't announce it. They had a new gameplay trailer.
they had
for
gameplay
it.
at
Something
the
that
Game Awards last year,
went,
which we talked about. But yeah, I'm
yep,
pretty sure you
went
played.
right by this year. That none of the stuff I was expecting them to like tease or do anything. I was actually really disappointed in the teasers this year.
Oh no, we'll save that for later.
No, different thing. Green Hell, and I know that can't, again, that's a game from like last year.
Sure.
But it's another survival one that was a lot of fun once I figured out how to not die from bugs or sleeping in mud or whatever. And I'm just kind of going through my Xbox.
Yeah, that's smart. I was doing that too with my list. It's like, oh yeah. Well,
I mean, going by like trophies and when I got, or achievements and when I got them, I didn't actually do that much this year.
oh, that's fine. Well, while you're going
I
through
did
that,
spend a lot more time reading this year, though. I
Okay.
spent like my book to gameplay, or video game spending ratio evened out a lot more.
healthy choices.
I had a lot of downtime at work, so I needed books.
That's fair. That's fair. While you're going through that, just some other titles that are kind of touched upon like quickly, and these were a lot of stream titles. We started A Way Out, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Kill It With Fire. Off stream played Sackboy: A Big Adventure, Demon Slayer: The Hinokami Chronicles, and Final Fantasy 15 were some of the bigger ones that I had played, at least a little bit, that need to be continued.
Have you not finished 15 either?
No, 15 Rainbow Redeemed on stream. That was my first time and experience with 15.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's 7. You have like your Final Fantasies are up to 22 at this point in the numbers that you need to do. 7 and 15.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I didn't play an hour.
Best I will ever do at quick math.
Rainbow, I have the full footage. It is more than an hour. Calm down there. But yeah, for the mainline Final Fantasies, like I didn't play a lot of them, to be honest. I played 10, got stuck as a child, and then attempted 10-2, but didn't go very far into it. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, as I talked about earlier, was probably the most time I put into that game, or into the franchise, and absolutely loved it. I tried 7 as a kid and was dumb, being like, oh, these aren't PS2 graphics, and didn't give it a fair shake. I will admit, stupidity there. And then I played a little bit of 14 on PlayStation 3. But once my trial, because it was an online MMO, ran out, I was like, oh, well, I don't have the means for paying for this monthly, so ew.
Yeah. No, I actually did the same thing from for 10. I played it. I was not a child. It was freshman year of college. I played it. I got all the way to Unalesca and just could not beat her. And then I dropped the game for like 10 years. And then I picked it back up not long after Willow was born and like powered all the way through it.
Right.
Sometimes you got to do that with games, though. I did that with Metroid Prime 2 as well. I got to a certain boss and I just couldn't do it. And I dropped it for like 3 years. And then like freshman year of college, I just like, oh, it fucking clicked. I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's weird. The closest thing I can do is like when like a kid finally gets potty training. Like I had that moment, but with a video game.
Sure.
It's like, oh, you did. This goes in there. I get it now.
Yeah, some magical thing. Excuse me. It's weird how that works, but yeah, for sure. 10 and 10-2 I'd like to revisit, especially with the remasters on I think it's PlayStation 4 platform.
They just overnight they dropped Final Fantasy 1 through 6.
The Pixel remasters. Yep.
It looks really cool, but also it's $70.
Well, you're getting 6 games, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but like they've sold all of those remasters on their own for like $5 on like iOS and things.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
I get it for like the physical copy with all the like awesome extra stuff. Like I don't know if I would pay that for like a and I don't know if I double checked what the digital price was or not, but I want it, but again, it's a lot for those games. Some of those games are 30 years old, you know.
That's fair.
70, like 50, you know, or like 59. Yeah. You know, 70, like it was 74 or something like that. I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's fair. Did you have anything else that you wanted to shout out for at least this year that you had played?
No, because at this point, like, Valkyrie Profile Lenneth, I'm really, really excited about because that's one of the greatest RPGs ever made. I've always wanted to do it. It's impossible to find a copy. Even me and my ridiculous, irresponsible spending, I've never been able to get a copy of it. And I mean, I have like Suikoden 2 new in box and Lunar Silver Star Story. I have some expensive ass PS1 games in box. Really, really, really excited about that. That's like something since I was like freaking 12. I've wanted to play. But at this point, it's like I'm more looking to next year now. You know, it's almost the 19th. You know, just a couple hours left, and it'll be the 19th, which puts us at what, 11, 12 days left in the year.
Yeah, it's looming.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
So more looking at like, you know, what's coming next year. Like, what do I need to save up for? What did I already spend too much money on next year?
So what would you pick for your game of the year for backlog titles that you played?
The thing that I had the most fun with, definitely, it's a combination.
Sure.
And again, we're going back into like, I fucking stress about it and like dread like leading up to it and have an anxiety attack almost every time before we do one of these. But gotta go with those spoops, Resident Evil 7 and Evil Within 2.
Cool.
So much fun with those. Especially with Evil Within 2, where we decided to, like, none of the enemies ever got names, so we decided to give all of the enemies, all the enemy types, various, like, frat and sorority names. So there was, like, a lot of Karens and, like, 3 different Ashleys spelled different ways, and, like, Tank, Dirk, and, Royce.
Chad, Brad, yep. Great. Yeah, I think I only have one other title to kind of shout out, and it's one that I got pretty immersed in, and then it was one of those stupid things, like I said. You know, I was doing well, and then got sidetracked by something else. Returnal. Finally trying out Returnal this year. Was awesome. And, you know, whether streaming it or not streaming it, just playing it, the challenge obviously that game has with, you know, the bullet hell, and if you die you gotta reset, similar to other roguelites. I need to jump back into that game and figure out what's going on. I got through the first act. I don't know obviously how many acts there are, but that's a game I need to dive back into, and just enjoyed every minute of it that I was playing it. So I don't know if that would be my choice for Game of the Year for backlog stuff. It's definitely up there, but I think I have to give it to Ghost of Tsushima, just because that story was another one that was so freaking awesome and compelling for the character growth that you went through. Crap, I'm blanking on the guy's name.
That's fine. Careful, spoilers.
Oh yeah, sorry. So yeah, character growth, good stuff with him, and just the other characters of Ensemble that you do meet and help along the way. I know I've talked about open world games in the past, how sometimes too many markers overwhelm me. I think this was a nice mixture of, like, there were things to do, but I didn't feel overwhelmed with that because they would only pop up once I got to certain areas, kind of thing. So if you decide to do it, great.
It wasn't
Witcher 3, where it's just like, blah!
Witcher 3, Horizon, where like the map is just covered.
Yeah.
Like you actually need to look at the legend to see what everything is.
Right. So yeah, Jin Sakai, that's the guy's name. The story they told with him, his character arc, and growth. Great times there. I haven't played Director's Cut. I don't plan on it just because I feel I've gotten what I need to out of that experience, so I can't speak to Iki Island or that additional content, how that rolls out or how that plays. But from base PS4, Ghost of Tsushima, playing it now was amazing. So yeah, I think that would take it for the backlog. At least this past year, what I played, that was top. That was the game of the year.